and welcome to Bold Faces. My name is Trisha Esegbe Kerry, and I'm right here at the Transcorp Hilton, Abuja, the venue for the third Icta-Ataf International Conference on Tax Administration in Africa. Theme: building strong domestic tax regimes in Africa. Icta-Ataf means African Tax Administration Forum. They strive to build efficient tax administration in Africa. In the next half an hour, we'll capture the sights and sounds of the conference, spiced with incisive talks on African taxation and capacity development. See you after the break.
Thank you very much for those kind words.
Right here, we're going to be speaking with the different delegates from across the continent of Africa.
Africa as a continent, in terms of estimates, we believe that we have close to about 80% of our population in the so-called informal sector. That has created some type of situation in terms of tax revenue, because that is a sector that even in the developed countries they find very difficult to tax. When we're describing the informal sector, at times we think of farmers, we think of hairdressers, we think of people who just do a quick turnover of business, receive cash, pay no tax. But that informal sector even sometimes extends itself beyond the people that we believe.
Of course, you all know that the majority of African economies are commodity driven, and commodity prices have taken an absolute battering in the last few years. Not only have they taken a battering, it's possibly a very permanent one. And that's going to fundamentally change the revenue formula for most African economies. We need to look inwards. We can't be dependent on resources. The good thing is that there are many countries that have absolutely no natural resources at all, but yet manage to run very good economies based on an effective taxation system.
My key message in dealing with sluggish growth and the type of economic pressure we are experiencing is, as you said, Minister, in your introduction, we need to look inward for where that will come from. And the key of our experience over the last few years has been to look for efficiency gains inside the existing tax environment. It is the alignment of tax policy with tax administration. It is broadening the tax base, and especially the willingness and the ability to tax high net worth individuals, to tax public officials, to tax those who are well connected politically. Those are elements on the continent that drains the personal income tax base.
Vision 2063. Good roads for all of our people, good schools, good health care, good housing. How will we as a people, as a continent, obtain these goals? These goals can only and will only be obtained through domestic resource mobilization, wherein we rely on our own mobilization of revenue to grow and develop our country.
Taxation is also about creating the link between the citizen and the state and increasing the accountability of the state to citizens. And taxation plays an important role in that. So if you're paying tax, you're entitled to ask the question, what's happened to my tax? What did you do with it? Where are the roads? Where are the schools? Where are the hospitals? And so it plays an important role, not just in terms of revenue contribution.
We try to deepen the tax base, and the data is a major issue. You need to know who indeed really want to tax. The number of people in the tax net are very minimal. And like many people have said today, there seems to be a disconnection between the government and the governed, the tax authority and the taxpayers. So we need to do a little bit more in terms of getting them educated to know why they need to pay taxes. There's a huge disconnection between us. So we continue to engage them, enlighten them, to let them know that we cannot attain the country of our vision as long as we continue to go on in this poor tax compliance culture. It's a major problem, and Nigeria is just one of such that is expressing that. Of course, we have things that we have been doing across the country to ensure that we limit the effects of this. But I'm sure maybe later on I will come back to that.
I remember when I was in Lagos, we used to have tax cards, and I think the minimum cost of a tax card was 500 naira or thereabouts. And then you'll find people who wanted to pay 500 naira tax. Now, by the time you add the cost of the paperwork and the cost of the officers, etc., you'll find out that you'll be running at a loss. So those are questions you have to ask. And because you're performing a national responsibility, even in areas where there are little or no revenues to be generated, you have to build a tax office. You have to staff it.
This issue of lifestyle audit, that's something we've been looking at very closely in Nigeria under our AIDS program, where we look at the lifestyle of certain individuals and we compare it to their tax return. And the inconsistency is so glaring, it's almost embarrassing. And we've given an opportunity under the voluntary asset and income declaration scheme for people to come clean and regularize. We've kind of accepted that as a nation we have had an issue and we're trying to correct it.
You have to be able to explain to taxpayers the reasons why they should pay, how they should pay, and also at the same time make it as convenient as possible. The Federal Inland Revenue Service, based on the federation system that we have chairmen in each state, which are different from the FIRS staff, but we signed an MOU to work together. And that way, we found out that we could increase our taxpayer base. The first thing that we did was to exchange tax databases, and overnight, we were able to add on a couple of hundreds of thousands. But sometimes you'll go out as a revenue officer to collect tax, and you'll meet people who will tell you that they have needs. And instead of them paying you, they'll ask you to even give them some money to meet their own needs. I mean, that happens quite a lot here. And you have to explain to them, we have the tax you collect, you don't spend it, it goes to government. But before you go, usually they'll ask you that, please help us out. And sometimes as a tax official, to make sure you receive a welcome the next time, you sometimes have to put your hand in your pocket and also give them some change to make them happy.
The EU countries, the VAT gap, so the losses of VAT due to non-compliance and fraud, is about 170 billion euros per year. We really need to create that awareness that there are levels of non-compliance where very often we have an issue of poor understanding of the law, but also very complex law that is almost impossible to deal with, to comply with. But there's a huge issue of organized crime that uses VAT to get money. I mean, the main difference between VAT and other taxes is that you do not just avoid paying taxes on profits, you can actually print money, you can get money from the state, and that's why, by creating false refund claims, and that's why organized crime is so much interested in VAT. And the problem is, or the challenge or the danger is that we would adjust the entire VAT system for 100% of taxpayers just to deal with 1% of those that are in the system and that are criminals.
To stress that point, we can start with property taxes. It's been known that property tax in Africa is one of the ways, through which people are using for money laundering, and is one of the most untapped tax sources of revenue in our countries. And of course, as we know, it depends. It requires a lot of political will, because most of the most influential people in our countries are the people who are in charge, basically, or deciding what to do with the property tax.
All of the challenges and the solutions lie in compliance risk management. If you want a better TADAT score, you improve compliance risk management. If you want a better TADAT GPS orientation, you fix compliance risk management. Because this is where the heart of your administration lies. So, from the perspective of what compliance risk management is, it's essentially a structured way of looking at your risks from the taxpayer's perspective. So, what you find in many administrations, they tend to make two mistakes. The first one is, because it's best practice to have compliance risk management, they would put up a structure and they will put a box in there and they will populate it with people, and then they expect that the system should run.
What we have realized over the past years is that most of the tax administrations have weak tax auditors. And to have a vibrant tax administration, you must have qualified tax auditors. The companies that we as tax authorities are auditing, they have very qualified people, professionals, and they prepare their taxes to the best of their ability. So you can imagine if you have a weak tax auditors, how would they challenge or even pinpoint the weaknesses of the tax, those tax that are prepared and given to the tax authority.
Hello, you're still watching Bold Faces, and I'm right here at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel here in Abuja. Still talking about the Icta-Ataf 3rd International Conference right here in Abuja, Nigeria. Right behind me, you see quite a lot of people, the dignitaries, the delegates, the guests from the different countries. About 39 countries, different state chairmen, they're all here, and then the different countries' chairmen are all here as well, and they're all having fun. It's actually time for food, so let's move through the corridor into the lunch and refreshment lounge. People are just trying to mingle, people are just trying to have fun, people are just trying to network right behind me, and then just the time out to, satisfy themselves. Some of them are hungry actually.
It is indeed my first time in Nigeria, and I'm sure to be back. My first impression and my overarching impression is all about the hospitality of the Nigerian people and also the enthusiasm, which I've also felt throughout the conference. The way in which Nigeria, our Nigerian colleagues, have organized and supported this event is just, it's a model for the rest of the world.
Shehu Musa Yaradua.
This center was named after him because of his contribution to the greatness of his country. As you can see, we have a lot of pictures. Pictures of our great heroes of the country, the forefathers and the nationalists.
So after his death, we established the Yaradua Center to honor him.
You are welcome to Shehu Musa Yaradua on the beach.
And how the British divided the country into the northern, western, and eastern regions.
Well, the benefits of the conference to me is the opportunity to share ideas with my colleagues from other parts of Africa. We've been able to collaborate and share experiences facing the common challenges that we both have in Africa.
In Africa, we all seem to have the same problem as far as taxation is concerned. The major issue is mainly in the area of informal sector. How to harness those into our tax nets. In Africa, generally, informal sector makes up between 40 to 60% of the tax-paying adults.
As a taxpayer, with a tax identification number and paying your taxes, then you can definitely speak louder and you can question government. Because with the taxes you pay, then government now must make sure it honors its part of the bargain with respect to the social contract between the government and its people relative to taxation.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the singular honor to receive a special delegation to this place today. This is the headquarters of culture to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The executive chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue, our own dear brother, who has led the delegation with the Secretary General here today. We are happy to receive you. From South Africa, I was in the seat of village. I was in prison number 4, and I noticed that people love my name.
Have you paid VAT?
I will urge all eligible taxpayers to pay their taxes as and when due, because it is when you contribute you expect government to do much for you. So pay before you complain.
The benefit of taxation is obvious. It is likely to help government to raise the resources that are required for them to implement the various programs and projects for development and for the well-being of its citizens.
Without tax, government is not able to deliver most of the things that government wishes to deliver on. If you don't pay tax, you don't get the benefits. So I think that it is not in anybody's interest to evade tax. It is a good thing because it's from there that you're going to get the money for developments. We hope that people will key into this.
And we can no longer continue to rely on aids from developed countries. We can no longer continue to rely on exploitation of natural resources for the purpose of developing our country. That what is sustainable and what we can rely on is collection of taxes. And that is the major thing, and that's what the team is around. If you look at the team, it focuses on company income tax, value-added tax, and all other relevant taxes. But the essence of it really is to let us know that time has come for us to focus on taxation.
Well, Ataf has been able to train quite a number of tax administrators in the area of transfer pricing and area of audits. Ataf has been involved in auditing or assisting the audits of 4 African countries of recent, and during that audit, those countries were able to identify and collect about $160 million. So there are financial benefits that Ataf has given to its members.
Generally, people should just pay their taxes. It's a social obligation, it's a moral obligation, and it's a civic responsibility. Nobody is doing the nation a favor when they evade, taxes.
We haven't got to where we should be, but there's been an improvement. So of course, I first of all like to appreciate the taxpayers and the Nigerian people who have decided to share the same vision of this government by chipping into the Commonwealth, paying their taxes, and also my staff who have had a change of orientation and who are also eager to continue to make sure that we provide the required revenue to fund our budgets.
Nigerian songs and music that you are invited to come and dance.
You're all most welcome. This evening is an evening of relaxation, and I'm so delighted with the type of discourse that we've had over the last 2 days. And truly, I think that you have been able to share ideas and also gain from this little short time together. But I've been told tonight is not a night of too many words, just a night of relaxation, a night for us to show you a little bit more of Nigeria.
Than men. More than 20 times. And I will explain why. You see, when God created Adam, when we were the Christians here, when God created Adam, he put Adam to sleep. I mean, he now took one rib from Adam to make Eve. Now, let's thank God that it was only one rib that God took. Because the one rib that God took, see what women are doing to us. Imagine if God had taken 3 ribs or 1 full leg. You are by now will be dead.
As you can see, the gala night is over at the 3rd Ataf International Conference on Tax Administration in Africa. And it's been a night of mingling together, networking, having fun, you know, just stepping it up with the dinner. Well, I hope you've had fun, because I've had fun as well. And I hope the 3rd Ataf International Conference on Tax in Africa have been able to educate Africans on the benefits of paying taxes.
Mr. Fowler, it's a man, is taxation in all, because it's a chairman that is very humble. He has leadership qualities. No matter who you are, what level, he listens to you. You ask questions, no matter how stupid, how foolish your questions are, he's ready to take time and drive you to a knowledgeable level.
I said he's a multiple chairman. He's chairman of Ataf, he's chairman of the Joint Tax Board, he's also chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. And recently, he was one of the 25-member committee appointed by the United Nations as a tax expert to advise on tax policies worldwide. There could be no better certification of the quality leadership here demonstrated and the legendary achievements.
Amazing results. He's impacted so much on the various state board chairmen, and his wealth of experience and knowledge has impacted so much on us, and he's doing very wonderfully well. I want to say kudos to him. Kudos to him.
Ataf, we love you all. Thank you for coming to Nigeria. Thank you. It's a nice time having you around, and looking forward to see you next time. We'll be glad to host you anytime in Nigeria. Thank you so much for coming.
Welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed our clips from the 3rd Ataf International Conference on Tax Administration in Africa. I hope the Ataf conference has been able to educate Africans on the benefits of paying their taxes and, of course, efficient tax administration. Special thanks to Mr. Tunde Fowler, who happens to be the first Nigerian to be elected as Ataf chairman. And of course, I want to say a big thank you to the Ataf executives and members from the different countries. We appreciate your efforts in stabilizing the African economy. Thanks for watching. See you again next week on this same station. My name is Trisha Isegbe Kerry. It's bye for now.